Why create a vision board? We're going to answer that question in this video. Okay, so why do we create a vision board? Well, most importantly, it's because when you want to create a vision board, you have actually something to aim at. You've got a target. And so they always say, set a goal and go after it. You know, aim for something, aim for the stars. Well, heck, if you don't know what you're aiming for, how are you supposed to even hit it or come close? So that's the reason why you want to create a vision board. And if this is your first time doing this, or you've had friends or family members tell you you need to create a vision board and you're like, well, what do I need to do? How do I do it? It's pretty simple. Go to your local Target, your local Walmart, your local Hobby Lobby, whatever, and get one of those construction boards. They're about this big. They come in all different colors. Pick your favorite color. And that's going to be your vision board. And the first time that I did this, I actually wrote on it vision board at the top. And you might say, well, what do I put on the vision board? Well, the answer is, what do you want to put on the vision board? What do you want out of life? So let's say, for example, you're single and you're wanting to meet your dream woman or dream man or whatever. Put a picture of what they might look like or draw them. You know, if you're a great artist, draw that person. Put the house, put your dream house, put your dream car, your dream cars. You want a boat? You want an airplane? You want a yacht? What do you want? You want a fancy piece of jewelry, a Rolex? Whatever you want in life, put on your vision board. Now, whether or not you're religious or not, you've all heard the saying, ask and you shall receive, right? Like it's like the most commonly said thing. Well, it's a true thing. That's how the vision board works. You got to first ask for it in order to receive it. Right? We don't all want the same stuff, and that's the beauty about it. So in order for you to know what target you're going to aim at, right, with your bow and arrow, you gotta mark your targets. And that's what your vision board becomes. Each picture, each thing becomes a target that you're aiming at. Now, be careful. Don't wish bad things. You know, sometimes it works the opposite way. Let's all try to do our best to wish for good things, right? And what's important to understand about setting up the vision board is having patience. You have to have patience and let the world give it some time. Let the world just work itself out. Stuff doesn't happen in a second, in a minute, in an hour, in a day. You got to let things marinate, right? You got to let it bake, right? And most importantly, you got to put in the work. You got to go after it. So you might say to yourself, you know, that's the target I want to hit. I want that house. Okay. Well, you can't sit on the couch every day and play video games for the next 3 years and think that you're just going to get a house. It doesn't work like that. You have to actually work at it, okay? So let's just be crystal clear that when we set our vision board, we set our targets, and we ask that you actually have to put yourselves in motion, right? You can't sit around and be lazy. You got to get up and do it. So as long as you're willing to put in the work, and it's good, and you go after it, you'd be shocked how often this works. And so I want to bring up this DVD that I saw, and I say DVD because now you can stream everything online and watch everything online. So I'm sure you can watch this on YouTube now. But back then, actually back in the original days, this was an actual book. And I don't remember what year it was written, but the book was called The Secret. Look it up. This is a secret. This is a secret of life. And you might ask what the secret is. I'll tell you what was funny was when I was reading the book, The Secret, it kind of annoyed me, because it kept talking about the secret, but it didn't tell me what the secret was until way into the book, right? You just read it. And finally, when you learn about it, you're like, it's about the law of attraction. We attract the things we want in our life. That's how it works. And it ties much with the vision board that we're talking about, right? And so The Secret is something that I definitely recommend watching. Whether you get it on DVD and you still have a DVD player, whether you watch it on YouTube or you stream it if that's even possible. I used to watch this thing going to bed because it would just program into my subconscious and remind me that I need to set my goals for the things that I wanted. And I'm going to tell you all as living proof that probably 9 out of 10 times or more, when I set my mind for something and I put something, say, on a vision board, right? And I go after it, I get it 9 times out of 10. It's like magic, and it works almost every time. I don't want to say every time because it hasn't worked on a couple of them yet, but I'm still working on them, right? But all the other things that I've ever wanted in life, for the most part, I've gotten. It's amazing how it works. It's literally, we're attracting the things that we want. And I'm going to tell you all a story just to prove it. So this is the beauty about it. Remember, I came from nothing. When I was a kid, I didn't have money, right? So to build what I have today took a lifetime, right? It took from being a kid to being a teenager, to be in my 20s, my 30s, and now I'm in my 40s, okay? So it took all those years to build where I'm at today. But I'm going to tell you a story about how I, quote unquote, made my first million. And this is important for you to understand this because this ties to the vision board, okay? This was the Christmas holiday season of 2007. And we were down in Texas, down in Houston, Texas, staying with my wife's side of the family. And while we were down there, we're just laying loose, which I rarely do. And on Christmas, all of my wife and her sisters and brothers all got the same gift from their mom. And it was a DVD of The Secret. And she said, all I want you all to do is sit down and watch The Secret with me on Christmas. And we said, sure. I mean, how could we not, right? We're all there as family. We're all there together. And so that's what we did. We watched the entire documentary. And I will tell you what, I was so pumped on life. Like, I felt like I was fearless. Like, I'm just going to rip the world open. That just put me in, coach. Let me do it. Let me crush it. And I'm going to set a goal right now. I'm going to just envision certain things and I'm going to make it happen. That was what I was going to do after that holiday break. And so when we got back home, we started getting settled and whatever. And then I remember, like typical, how it is like on New Year's resolutions where, everybody says, oh, on New Year's, my New Year's resolution is I'm going to lose weight or I'm going to do this or I'm going to change jobs or whatever it is. Like everybody's got their New Year's resolution. And then usually after like a few weeks, like everybody forgets about their New Year's resolutions and they just kind of die off and they're nothing special and you forget about them. That's generally what happens for most people. Well, that kind of happened for me because while we were, we had watched this video, The Secret, and then I was pumped, and then we get home, and then it's New Year's, and we're doing our resolutions, and I'm still pumped. That carries me in a couple weeks, and I kind of forgot about it. And I remember waking up, and I'm almost positive I've got this date exact. February 7th, 2008. And I'll tell you why I remember that date was because on that date, I wrote myself a check, post-dated 3 years from that date, February 7th, and I post-dated it to 2011. So it was in 2008, and it was February 7th, 2011. Now this is where the story gets great. On the date that I wrote that check, okay, February 7th, 2008, of course that check would have bounced, okay? I didn't have a lot of money. I mean, I had my business, and at the time I only had my trading card business. That's all that I had at the time. And we had some operating cash in the cash account. We had inventory, we had sales. I was making my living, whatever, which was great. But I didn't have like a large sum of money. People say like, hey, I want to have $1 million. Like I didn't have that, right? But I had a good life. It was better, above average, but it wasn't like I was wealthy. It wasn't like I was super rich, but I was doing okay. But I said, you know what? I want to better, my life for my family, for my friends, for everybody, for my employees. And in order to get there, I've got to get more because, when you make more money, you can make greater impacts. So if you're doing things for good, you can make a greater impact when you have more money. That's just how the world works. And what's interesting about money itself, contrary to what some of the naysayers think that don't have it, and I thought the same thing, so I'm not just saying like they're bad people, I was there, is they always sit there and think that, oh, those people are bad, those people are bad. But have you ever thought about the money is nothing but a record of keeping track of how much impact you're making in this world? Why is it that the people that invent something that everybody uses become like multimillionaires or billionaires? Like Steve Jobs or Bill Gates and all these people that have created things, an iPhone or software, Windows, whatever, that millions of people use, they become billionaires. Why is that? It's because they're making that much of an impact on all of these people's lives. So dollars or yen or whatever your currency is, euros, whatever it is mere keeping track, keeping score of the impact you're making on this world. So if you're a waiter at a restaurant, or a waiter or waitress at a restaurant, and you're making pretty decent money, you're making good tips, you're getting paid, you're getting compensated for the impact you're making on this world. You're serving people, you're serving families, and you're getting paid for it. Congratulations. Imagine if you write a book a self-help book and you impact 1 million people's lives, you might become a millionaire just doing that because you impacted 1 million people's lives. So going back to the story, this is where it gets good. So I don't have a lot of money. I'm pumped up, like a lot of you have seen. You get pumped up on these videos and then, you get to the point where like, it didn't work. Here I am back to normality and I'm kind of like, depressed again and not feeling good. And I've been there 1 million times. I've been depressed and haven't felt great. So here's where it gets interesting. So I said, whatever. I'm going to create a vision board. I'm going to write myself a check right now for $1 million and I'm going to tape it to my vision board along with other things. I had my house, car, Lamborghini. See, and I haven't bought my Lamborghini yet. That's still on the vision board, right? So here's what's interesting. I didn't know how, and the secret talks about this. I didn't know how I was going to get that money. I had no idea. All I knew was I had to get up every day and do the best that I could do every day. I had to be the best version of me that I could be every single day of my life to get to that goal. Because I knew if I could get to that, I could make greater impacts. I could create more jobs. I could give more to charity. I could be more available for friends and family because I could hire people to take things off my plate, et cetera, et cetera. And so that was huge impact for me. I got to get there. And so now we're in 2008. Well, what happens in 2008? The financial crisis happens, right? We almost go into a depression. How the heck am I going to make $1 million in 3 years? I mean, you'd be thinking the same thing if you were me. But I just kept putting one foot in front of the other, kept pushing through, kept treading, kept going, right? And then all of a sudden, one of my friends called me up and starts telling me that he got into the gold business. I'm like, what? I've kind of been wanting to get into coins and gold and stuff. He's like, I'm telling you, you need to get into this. This is the next greatest thing, yada, yada, yada. And so I start, doing some research and whatever. And he was kind enough to kind of show me the ropes and show me the business. And so I was immediately ready to get in, but I had my other business. I had my card business. So I couldn't abandon that. That's what was, like I've told you in a previous video, I had to keep my bills, being paid. So I had to find a way to get into this new business. So that's a whole nother conversation, a whole nother video, but we can talk about that. Long story short, we ended up opening up our second business called We Buy Gold. We started buying gold and silver and diamonds and coin collections and sterling silverware sets and whatever we needed to buy, right? And ironically, because I stared at that vision board every single day. It was in my bathroom. And so I would take a shower and I would stare at it. While I'm in the shower, I would stare at it, wondering how I'm going to get that $1 million. And I got into the gold business and the first store was successful. And we opened up a second location and we opened up a third location. We kept opening up locations. And towards the end of 2011, this is where it gets ironic. This is what brings like chills to my body. Towards the end of 2011, me and my partner, between our inventory and the cash on hand, had nearly $1 million in our company operating account. $1 million. Now, not all of that was mine. Some of it was my partner's, but let's not forget that I had assets and money in other places. So I had equity in my home. I had equity in my business. I had all this stuff. So if you added it up together, it was close to $1 million. I was like blown away. I mean, theoretically, if I moved that stuff into the same account, I could cash the check. And this is a guy that was broke virtually. I mean, it wasn't broke, like I had a house, I had car payments, income, but I'm talking about compared to $1 million, may as well consider it broke. Like, who cares if you have $5,000 or $10,000 in the bank? $1 million's like $1 million more than that, right? And so what was interesting was that actually happened. So why create a vision board? I'll make it simple. It's because you need to have targets to aim at, to go after. And I want you all to watch The Secret. It'll change your life like it changed mine. Follow the law of attraction, apply it, and you'd be surprised, like the law of gravity, when you take a pen and you drop it, it hits the ground. You'll start learning that the law of attraction works like that. You attract what you want out of life, what the energy you put in and your vision. So I highly recommend creating a vision board. If you found this really, really beneficial, I would kindly ask that you subscribe to this video. I'm going to continue to give business advice. I totally felt that this tied in because this is how I created a lot of my businesses. I highly recommend that you do the same thing. So remember to stay strong, keep pushing through, be the hustler.